Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start off this program with the national anthem. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we march, words of gallantly stream, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the January 6th people that got locked up because the Justice Department went after them and locked them up. They have allegedly jailed 200 people, locked them down. Locked them down, ladies and gentlemen. At 9 p.m. every night, these prisoners that occupy a cell block together at 9 p.m. every night sing the Star-Spangled Banner out of respect for our country and for what they believe in, which is liberty and justice for all. The video was made, and President Trump giving us the Pledge of Allegiance in the background. Ladies and gentlemen, I echo the statements that were made by President Trump in response to our country. The Pledge of Allegiance should mean everything to each and every one of us. Literally everything. That's why I put this out. And I may do this every night when we come on this program, out of respect for what is going on in our country, and we're going to get more into it in just a few minutes. I first want to put up Ryan Holyall's weather live from his home in his office, which is a weather studio. Hurricane Heather says she's covering severe weather today and has posted the show everywhere. Thanks, Heather. God bless you all. God bless you and your husband and family. Heather does a fantastic job when it comes to the weather herself. I wish she had her own channel. But folks, I want to put up Ryan Hall y'all's weather right now. I want you to hear him speaking and what he's doing. I think it's very appropriate. I think it's very appropriate that we hear from him right now for at least a few minutes.
When we don't have, okay, now I'm catching up a lot more. Now it's looking better. Sometimes we can have brief hiccups in the feed of data to our radar programs that we're looking at. Nothing's perfect. So the fact that everything works as succinctly as it does is pretty amazing, all things considered. Yeah, so a lot of you guys in Jackson, Mississippi, South Central Mississippi, Alabama, Mobile area, you guys have watches that are already in place for you, but they might be expiring in a couple of hours. Yet there would be another round of storms that might get to you sometime, maybe even in the mid-morning, depending on how far south you are. So the watches that are in place right now, yes, they will be allowed to expire. You may get another one thereafter, though, because it does look like those storms, all in Texas and Arkansas right now, will eventually make their way down to you, but they should not be the main severe weather events. Massachusetts, there were a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings there in the Northeast today, but nothing that we were planning on covering for sure. So if it got windy, or if you got any hail at all there in New Jersey or parts of western Massachusetts, do let me know. Yeah, I'm feeling all right. Thank you, guys.
That's not Ryan Hall. It's one of his associates.
Ryan is eating pizza right now, for those of you asking for that. Southwest Dallas, looking okay so far.
New information. This tornado warning has been upgraded.
Southwest Dallas is looking okay so far. All right, let me bring a warning over there to see what's going on from our confirmed tornado warning. Confirmation on that in Berrien County. I think that's our lead one there to the north of Nashville, Georgia. Actually, why was that one confirmed? The storm is leaving that warning, so that's very interesting. I imagine we'll probably see an extension of the confirmation to Atkinson County. Kind of intriguing that was upgraded there right then. So that warning there in Berrien County, the storm is leaving that county right now, right as that warning came through. I believe that may have been it could have possibly been from a report from Bryce Shelton, our storm chaser there, feeding information to the National Weather Service, because right now the radar looks like nothing. It's definitely going to be rain wrapped there near Weber in Georgia.
Yes, I believe that is
head
Andy
into
Hill.
Atkinson County next. So if that warning does come through for Atkinson County in Georgia and it gets upgraded, then that's the reason why. That took me by surprise. Like if I looked at the radar here, I wouldn't expect a confirmed a warning there. So that was definitely a product of weather spotters, storm chasers in the area, feeding information that they see at the surface to the National Weather Service. We're really not even looking that far up in the storm, yet I'm not seeing anything that's conducive to confirming a tornado here. So shout outs to the storm chasers right there in the area. Please be taking shelter, especially as this approaches Atkinson County here in south central Georgia. I think this is really going to be the last hurrah, though, for tornadoes that we might have today as it approaches Pearson, Georgia, and goes well to the north and east of Valdosta. Closer to Homerville and possibly Waycross, Georgia down the line, we'll get in on the severe action, but I do not think that our tornado threat is going to be that high. I think we definitely already rode over the peak of a possible tornado threat today.
I'm back.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. I was just
A
covering...
new tornado watch has been issued.
I'm not sure. Where is that for? Wow. Okay, so
Alabama?
Alabama tornado watch. So I was covering that we still have a little bit of a threat, especially for spin up tornadoes for any watch that would come through in Alabama. But we do have that warning east of Dallas now, and I think our radar should be caught up. I'm definitely caught up on my side, so we just had a little bit of a slow feed there for radar data. So we should be caught up, ready to continue coverage.
Okay. Thank you very much, Andy. We'll check out that tornado watch. There you go. Tallahassee, Panama City, Tifton again, Bainbridge. So like this is Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. A couple tornadoes possible. Honestly surprised that this was a tornado watch. But hey, a couple tornadoes are possible. Tennis ball hail possible. 80-mile-an-hour winds likely. So this is 1.7 million additional people under the gun today for significant severe weather. And that's going to go till midnight tonight. So, definitely not out of the woods. Definitely not out of the woods just yet. So we're going to continue to watch this stuff as everything continues to develop. I'm updated on my radar over here as well. We still got that tornado warning for Pearson, between Nashville and Pearson in Georgia. There is a new one that I don't think we talked about because I was away. Andy surely mentioned it, but this is a tornado warning near Canton, Texas. Okay, this is radar indicated. This is for central Van Zandt County in north central Texas. And it's hard to see exactly what's going on there, but certainly is rotating a little bit. And it's enough to say, hey, if I'm in Canton, Van, Lawrence Springs, any of these places in Texas, I am taking shelter. And we're just going to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. They actually went ahead and issued a severe thunderstorm warning all the way down to Tyler, Texas. So you guys need to be getting ready for that. Big. These storms are huge here near Dallas. This one's experiencing a left split. Look at that. Textbook. Split of the supercell there. And we're going to continue to see these grow and become more than likely monstrous hailers at least. And maybe even tornado producers as time goes on. We're definitely going to be sticking with you here as these storms approach Tyler, Texas, just in case. If I go to the Shreveport radar, you can see that this is a big empty area, so we're not seeing any major developments here. But just to the north, in and around Little Rock, things are going absolutely nuts. We've got a considerable severe thunderstorm warning over here, and a destructive severe thunderstorm warning around Hot Springs. And then we've got another big supercell really firing off here south of Little Rock, and another one back to the north and west. These are definitely going to be troublesome as they approach the Interstate 30 corridor. So get ready for that around Little Rock and Hot Springs, Arkansas. What about Mississippi? This big storm getting ready to move into Brookhaven is going to bring some 1.25 inch hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds with it. And then way over here in
A new tornado warning
Georgia
has been issued.
we've got a confirmed tornado warning now. Let's zoom in. Let's see what's up with that. Okay, so here we go. This is it. Observed tornado warning. Radar confirmed. So the hazard here is going to be a damaging tornado with ping pong ball sized hail. And this is radar confirmed tornado. So this is the same storm that our storm chasers were on for quite some time. Let's see, is Bryce still on that? Yeah, Bryce is just to the south of the actual where the warning is. And yeah, we've got a radar confirmed tornado warning here. So yeah, everybody in the path of this should more than likely be taking shelter. This includes Pearson, Kirkland, and Willacoochee. So make sure y'all are taking shelter. It's honestly not as impressive on radar as it was earlier, at least to my eyes. But there is definitely some rotation here, and we're going to continue to watch this closely as it moves towards Pearson. Okay, so all of southern Georgia, that's been like the target zone today. We've obviously had severe weather across the deep south, but this spot right here has been the hardest hit by far.
Okay, I'm going to drop it right there. However, I'm telling you guys, Ryan Hall, y'all, is one of the best weathermen, forecasters, and storm chaser that I've ever seen. He's done an excellent job, and I encourage you to follow him as he goes through this night. And he'll probably be up all night into the early morning hours covering these storms until the power of the storm actually dies out. Now, folks, I have some other things that we want to discuss before we get into some earthquakes. Yes, folks, we're going to be talking about earthquakes tonight, both here in the United States and Canada. Okay? The only really big earthquake that happened earlier today, was what happened in the Kermadec Islands just north of New Zealand. A 5.8 very large earthquake hit in the Kermadec Islands. An earthquake hit over there last night as well. Folks, the Kermadec Islands are an unoccupied bunch of islands over there in the South Pacific. Those are only occupied by birds. The Kermadec Islands are a bird sanctuary. Okay? That's the biggest earthquake that has hit. We've had a few 4.9, 5.0s as well. We've had a moderate earthquake that struck earlier just off the Nicaragua coast. So folks, there has been some seismic activity. This is to be expected. Now folks, we've had some solar activity as well that is contributing to what we're seeing. But I believe that solar activity is going to be picking up, and in fact, I know it for a fact because ham radio around this area as well as other places around the globe has been affected. And our television reception has been affected. Our AM, FM radios have been affected as well. So there has been some CME activity, and we will report more on that tomorrow evening. But folks, you need to know about it. You need to protect yourselves. Right now, it's not an X-class flare. It's a medium M-class flare. Okay? It's not a lot to worry about, but people need to be aware of it. Now, 15 or 20 years ago, nobody even heard of these. It wasn't broadcast. It was not even out on the internet. It wasn't around. But now we have the satellites in place around the sun, and NOAA is reporting on them. Space Weather is reporting on them. And when we get information, we will pass it on to you. One of the things I want to talk about came from Mr. Tucker Carlson. I'm going to let you hear about 5 minutes of his report from just a few hours ago. I think this is very pertinent to where we are in our own society today, our neighborhoods and our communities. This is, I think, a very important report, or I would not be even using it on the air. This is Tucker Carlson.
Thing is true because it is. The more you repeat it, the truer it becomes. It's a self-reinforcing reality. There was a time when tautologies were considered illegitimate arguments, not to mention hilariously stupid. Only dumb people talk like that. Now everybody in power talks like that. Diversity is our strength. Trans women are women. Zelensky is Churchill. It's all self-evidently true. Doesn't need an explanation, and don't ask questions. Sound familiar? Of course it does. That's the pap they're serving us day after day in steaming, lumpy portions. By this point, it's possible that American citizens are the least informed people in the world. Your average yak herder in Tajikistan knows who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. It's obvious. Does he think some skinny dude in a dress is actually a girl? Come on. That idea would never occur to him. You've got to be lied to at full volume over a period of years in order to reach conclusions like that. And of course, we have been. The media lie. They do. But mostly they just ignore the stories that matter. What's happened to the hundreds of billions of US dollars we've sent to Ukraine? No clue. Who organized those BLM riots 3 years ago? No one's gotten to the bottom of that. What exactly happened on 9/11? Well, it's still classified. How did Jeffrey Epstein make all that money? How did he die? How about JFK? And so endlessly on. Not only are the media not interested in any of this, they are actively hostile to anybody who is. In journalism, curiosity is the gravest crime. Yesterday, for example, a former Air Force officer who worked for years in military intelligence came forward as a whistleblower to reveal that the US government has physical evidence of crashed non-human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. The Pentagon has spent decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapons systems. Okay, that's what the former intel officer revealed, and it was clear he was telling the truth. In other words, UFOs are actually real, and apparently so is extraterrestrial life. Now we know. In a normal country, this news would qualify as a bombshell, the story of the millennium. But in our country, it doesn't. The whistleblower's account.
So if you got a chance to meet a 94...
Whistleblower's account ran on a technology website called The Debrief, which you've probably never heard of. The Washington Post had that story, but decided not to run it. The New York Times, meanwhile, just pretended it never happened. On the front page of the New York Times website this morning, there were 5 stories about Ukraine, as well as 4 stories apiece about Donald Trump, trans people, and climate change, the usual lineup. There was nothing at all about how an alien species is flying hypersonic aircraft over our cities. Not one word. So if you're wondering why our country seems so dysfunctional, this is a big part of the reason. Nobody knows what's happening. A small group of people control access to all relevant information, and the rest of us don't know. We're allowed to yap all we want about racism, but go ahead and talk about something that really matters and see what happens. If you keep it up, they'll make you be quiet. Trust us. That's how they maintain control. When Western tourists first started traveling in large numbers to the Soviet Union in the early 1970s, they found that many Russians had a completely warped understanding of the United States. They thought that Americans lived in grinding poverty, in a state of perpetual race war, and were desperate to flee to the freedom and prosperity of the Eastern Bloc. They thought this because that's what they had been told. They had no way to know otherwise. The few Russians who understood what was really going on in the rest of the world had learned about it from listening to shortwave radio broadcasts, sometimes under the cover so the neighbors wouldn't hear. 50 years later, it is bewildering to consider the ironies here. We're the ones who live in ignorance now. The US government has managed to classify more than 1 billion so-called public documents. So at this point, we can't possibly know what our leaders are doing. We're not allowed to know. By definition, that is not a democracy. Yet it's fine with the media. Secrecy is a powerful tool of control. Stop asking how we got so rich. Here's another story about racism. Go eat each other. That's the program. That's how most of us now live here in the United States. Manipulated by lies, silenced by taboos. It is unhealthy and is dehumanizing, and we're tired of it. As of today, we've come to Twitter, which we hope will be the shortwave radio under the blankets. We're told there are no gatekeepers here. If that turns out to be false, we'll leave. But in the meantime, we are grateful to be here. We'll be back with much more very soon.
Okay, that was Tucker Carlson. I believe he had a great message. That's why I shared it with you. He had a great message of truth. I hope you got part of it at least. We're being fed nothing but lies. We've spoken about this before. I try to at least bring some kind of partial truth to you. As much truth as we are allowed to show you. And I may be taken down for showing that part of Tucker Carlson's report. I might be. However, I believe that everybody needed to see that. I believe it's very important that we report on that. We let everybody know exactly what is going on. When it comes to earthquakes, we always try to make sure we have the most current information. Everything is important in our lives. Our freedoms are being taken away on a daily basis. It's almost to the point our freedom of speech is gone. I lost a YouTube channel with all but 25,000 subscribers from hackers, what I believe to be hackers. However, it may be the platform itself. They don't want us to know what is happening. And I will endeavor until my deathbed to give you the information that you need and you want. Because I believe it's valuable in making decisions for our lives. What Tucker Carlson said is honest to gosh truth. Honest to gosh truth. As for aliens, someone asked me the other night, and I was a little bit hesitant to address it. I've been studying UFO technology and the idea of UFOs for a very, very, very long time. Since back in high school, I have delved into the subject. I have talked with UFOologists, experts in the field. The man, and I don't remember his name right now, who was on Art Bell's show, that was president of a firm that tracked UFOs and UFO technology. I believed in him. I spoke to him personally on many occasions. Art Bell introduced me to him. He was a great man as far as I'm concerned, and he still is. Folks, it's important we keep our focus on what is true. Yes, we have alien technology. I know that. For those that really want to know, and I've talked to Don Patoka about this, I believe I talked to Rob about this, I've talked to several of you about this. I've seen them myself. Twice in San Diego. Once over towards southern Escondido. And that was verified on radar from Palomar Airport in San Diego. Another time I was taking a fellow police officer from my department to his home. And we observed something that just immediately went across the horizon, literally in front of us. Not more than probably a mile away from us, if that, maybe less. Streaking across the sky in a manner that I've never seen our jet fighters fly that fast. Never. And then we later checked with Naval Air Station Coronado, North Island. They again affirmed that something had come up on radar, but they couldn't tell us what it was. So yes, we've seen it. My mother saw it when she was young near the Balboa Park and Belmont Park amusement park in San Diego. She saw it. Many other of my friends have seen it as well. Don Patoka's in the chat saying, being former USAF, I know nothing. Don Patoka is Sergeant Schultz. He knows nothing. Folks, I joke about that. Don Patoka is very smart. He knows a lot more than either he or I are willing to talk about. I have told you some things that I can't talk about, because I was allowed to see and find things that others should not even know about. And I won't talk about those. But quite frankly, folks, there are things that happen in our neck of the woods. Once when I was in Denver, Carol Martin's here. She lived in Denver also. She and I spoke about UFOs. When I was in Denver, there was another UFO case that I was asked to go and check on over near what they call Red Rocks. Red Rocks is an amphitheater on the western side of Denver in the foothills of the mountains. Literally the foothills of the mountains. It's a beautiful park. Absolutely stunning vistas overlooking the city, county of Denver and the surrounding areas. But yes, there was a UFO up there as well. And when we saw it, we lost all radio contact with our dispatch. Incredible. Michael McKinney's joking, says, Clink? Who's that man? Yes, Colonel Clink. And Sergeant, or no, it wasn't Sergeant Burkholder, it was Lieutenant Commander Burkholder, whatever, anyway. I'm talking about Hogan's Heroes. But folks, this is serious. It does happen. I know a lot of other people that have seen things as well. A lot. They're there. I know it. There's no doubt in my mind. Like I said, I used to watch Art Bell a lot. And quite frankly, it wasn't just the people that Art Bell interviewed that I believed. Some of Art Bell's shows are archived here on YouTube. You ought to take a listen, because some of those shows have valuable information that you won't find anywhere else. Anyway, I have a lot of other things I want to talk about tonight. One of the other things is Canadian earthquakes. Okay? This is a slide I picked up from the Canadian media. I want to show this to you. Okay? These are the earthquakes that Canada has reported. Most of these earthquakes you cannot find on USGS. The earthquakes in the yellow circles are earthquakes that happened over 2 to 3 weeks ago and soon will be deleted off their feed. The earthquakes that are in the orange-brown, those are current earthquakes. Current earthquakes. You see a rather large orange-brown circle over by Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. That is a 3.1 earthquake and aftershocks from that 3.1. And a lot of tremors as well. Over just offshore, just south of Queen Charlotte Island, British Columbia. Again, we have another 3.4 magnitude earthquake there. And you can see all these other small tremors and minor earthquakes as well. They are happening. Notice that the Canadians will also go into the northern tier of the United States and report earthquakes. Okay? You notice over on the left-hand side, about center over there, the yellow circles there, that's a 3.7 earthquake on the Blanco fracture zone, about June 15th. It's incredible what you find on the Canadian feeds. They report it. I found earthquakes here that I reported on that the USGS did not even have, nor did most of the European feeds have it. The Canadians do a doggone good job. Looking over to the East Coast, there are not as many earthquakes there because we are not seeing that many earthquakes. But look at them. Look at the regions where the multitude of swarms happen. It's in the same place that we've talked about. The Eastern Continental Divide. Eastern Continental Divide. It's the northeastern craton, folks. It's the northeastern craton. And that goes all the way down here through the eastern side of the United States into Georgia. But look where that other yellow dot is. Over near Lake Erie. Yes, folks, guess what? That was about June 14th. I'm sorry, not June 14th, May 14th. And that other that I told you about was also May 14th. But folks, that happened. The Canadians told us about it. USGS did not. If you have the ability to find the Canadian earthquakes, all you have to do is type in Canadian earthquakes on your keyboard in your search engine, and you could pull up the Canadian earthquake feed. There's always a lot of good information there, and you can find seismograms showing those quakes and exactly what happened. Okay? I just want to show you this. I have reported on this before. I haven't done it in a while, but I wanted to show you this. Over on the northwestern part up here in the Canadian Rockies in the Yukon. You see those bigger yellow circles? 3.4, 3.6 earthquakes, and 3.0 earthquakes. Okay? We've talked about these before as well. They happen. They happen. So like I said, the Canadian feed is very important to look at if you can do that. Something else that I want to show you tonight. A lot of people don't even realize it. Okay? A lot of people don't even realize what is going on. We talked about the Canadian wildfires. I want to put this into motion. This comes from the GOES 16 satellite, showing the Canadian wildfire smoke being pushed by the jet stream. Watch this. Pushed down into the United States from the Pacific Northwest, all the way down into Texas and the southern Gulf states. Look what's happening over in the East Coast at night. See all of that smoke? Look at the smoke that's coming out of the south in the Atlantic there. That came out of the Pacific Northwest in Western Canada. Look at all that smoke, guys. Look at all that smoke there. I just paused it. Well, shoot. I was hoping to pause it and show you that smoke on the east coast of the United States. It came out of Halifax and that area of Nova Scotia. It's still on fire. These fires were caused, folks, these fires were caused by arson. People setting those fires. People setting those fires. It's crazy. And they expect us to just bow down and just accept it. Well, this is going to happen. This is going to happen regardless of what we have to say. What the Canadian people have to say. They're getting the brunt storm of this smoke. They're having to put up with fires. Many of these wonderful people in Canada, folks, have also seen what has happened and have lost their homes, their property. And some of them, I believe, have even lost their lives. Some of them have even lost their lives to what has been going on. We at least have been trying to report on it and make you aware of what's going on. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you guys is earthquakes in the Southern California area. Okay? I want to start off over in the Los Angeles area. Then we'll go south and we'll also go east. Okay? This is the Baldwin Hills. Okay? We talked about the Baldwin Hills before. This is a huge oil and gas drilling operation just northwest of downtown Los Angeles. Okay? A huge area. It used to be a very forested area of hills and valleys and gullies. They bulldozed the trees and the hills and the gullies and laid it out flat. Then they brought out pumps and jacks and started pumping the area for oil and gas. And they've been doing that since the 1940s. That's when the USGS started looking for oil and gas for private corporations. That's what the USGS was founded on. Going to look for oil and gas for the United States companies. That's how they started. Well, folks, they're still pumping oil and gas out of the Baldwin Hills. As you can see here, right here is seismic energy in the Baldwin Hills. Here in the Baldwin Hills, ladies and gentlemen, all we're seeing here is minor earthquakes, minute after minute, all day long. This seismogram here, as all the others are that I'm going to show you, started off at 5 a.m. this morning. Started off at 5 a.m. this morning. Look at all of the tremors here. Every one of these lines are tremors. None of them are microquakes. These are all tremors. Imagine, if you will, what would happen if these were small earthquakes. 3.2, 3.3, 3.5 all day long. Minute after minute after minute. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You would feel ground movement all the time. It would drive you ape butt. It would drive you crazy. But this is what these people have been dealing with. Sometimes it gets larger. Sometimes there's even light ground shaking, meaning minor to small earthquakes. Minor 2.0, 2.9, 3.0, 3.9 are small earthquakes. Nobody can really feel minor 2.0, 2.9. And yet, they try to report, sometimes they try to report, I should say, a 2.5 or 2.6 or 2.7 earthquake. Only very sensitive people will feel that. Also, depending on the terrain, what is the rock base in that area? Is it sand and loamy soil? Or is it solid rock like granite or sandstone? When you get solid material, folks, the seismic waves are more felt. And they travel faster through solid material than they do the soil base. Okay? But this is what's going on up in the Baldwin Hills of California, Southern California, northwest of Los Angeles. Okay? Next, I want to take you out to the Channel Islands just off the coast of Los Angeles. This is what the seismograph is recording out in the Channel Islands. Okay? These are all tremors for the most part. I have not, and I spent probably a half hour analyzing this particular seismogram to make sure of what we see here. There is nothing but tremors here. There are no real earthquakes at all, meaning nothing 2.0 or larger. These are all tremors. 1.0 to probably 1.6, 1.7 at times. Okay? That's all that's going on here in the Channel Islands. Most people wouldn't think that we'd have earthquakes over there in the Channel Islands. We do. There are many earthquake faults that go out into the ocean, out into the harbor areas near Los Angeles. Great, big, huge, long earthquake faults. Huge. The Inglewood-Newport fault is a great example of that, or the Newport-Inglewood fault, depending on who's talking. That also goes out there. And then it flows south. Where does it flow south to? San Diego, where it turns into the Rose Canyon fault. But this is what's going on just off the coast of Los Angeles here. Okay? Then I'm going to take you into Los Angeles, into the Del Amo area. Look at this, guys. This is an increase from what we've seen so far, isn't it? The tremor base here is increased a lot. Okay? This is happening every minute of every day, 24 hours a day. Okay? The tremors have increased here. Not quite to earthquake strength, though. These are just tremors. Del Amo, California. I want to take you over to Ellis, California. Also in the LA area. Look what's going on at Ellis. It starts off with 1.0 tremors at first. Then the tremors get larger. They go up to 1.2 and 1.3, and they start lasting a while. As in what we're seeing after 2:30 a.m. this morning. I'm sorry, not 2:30. This is 7:30 a.m. this morning, over on the left-hand side. 2.2, 2.3, maybe a 2.4 earthquake. I mean, it's 2 point. These are tremors. 1.4. I didn't mean to say earthquake. These are 1.4 tremors. Okay? But look at that. Minor tremors happening a lot. Nobody's feeling these. Nobody's even feeling these. Let's go over to the coast at Laguna Bell. I just lost my screen. Wasn't that wild? And I just got it back. I'll be darned. Here at Laguna Bell, guys, this is along the coast. These are microquakes and minor tremors. That's it. Microquakes and minor tremors. This is a whole lot different than what we've seen in past weeks. In past weeks, we saw tremors building into minor earthquakes. Not just here, but all over the Los Angeles basin. Literally all over. Okay? That was Laguna Bell. Let's take you over to North Hollywood. North Hollywood. This is also showing nothing more than tremors here, except for one. Except for one. This happened at about 07:19 a.m. this morning. 7:19 a.m. this morning. It looks to be at least a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake in the red line there. Okay? We had an earthquake. Nobody's mentioned it. It doesn't show up anywhere but on the seismogram. Okay? Nowhere else but here. North Hollywood. Again, what we've seen here in North Hollywood before are a lot of good-sized tremors. 1.8, 1.9, 2.0 occasionally. 2.0 meaning minor earthquake. Very tiny minor earthquake. This earthquake here was a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. Okay? North Hollywood, California. Let's show you Pardee. Okay? Look at this. For the most part, we have nothing but microquakes and tiny tremors here. Sometimes the tremors got a little bit larger. 1.3, 1.4 tremors. And you can see those lines throughout this seismogram. Okay? Just microquakes and tiny tremors all over. Literally all over, all day long. Okay? Let's continue here. I want to show you Playa del Rey. Let's go back to the coast north of Los Angeles. Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey area. Look at this. This is a lot different than we showed you a couple weeks ago. Okay? Just microquakes and tiny 1.0 tremors. When you see the increase, you see it. And then it goes back to microquakes again. But that's it. Okay? Before, these were larger tremors. Larger tremors up along the coast. Now it's changed. Okay? It's totally changed. I want to take you over to Rio Hondo next. Okay? Rio Hondo is a place where we saw good-sized tremors. 1.5, 1.8, 1.9, 2.0 earthquakes all over the place. Now there's no earthquakes at all. For the most part, there's microquakes and minor tremor activity. That's all. How many times have I said that now? It's all over Los Angeles today. Okay? Things have really calmed down from what we saw even last week. Okay? Let's continue. I want to show you Rinaldi. The same thing here. We've seen larger tremors here. This isn't larger tremors at all. At best, it's a 1.0 tremor. That's all. That's all. Let's continue. I showed you there. Let's see where else we want to go here. I want to show you University of Southern California, Los Angeles, USCLA. Okay, look at this. At the very best, microquakes and small tremors. Microquakes and small tremors here. We've also seen a lot of tremors here at USC. Okay? Just tiny microquakes and tremors. It's incredible how things have calmed down overall in Los Angeles. Yes, I'm going to show you a lot bigger seismic activity in just a minute. But I wanted to show you this. East Los Angeles Watts. We've shown you a lot of good-sized tremors here before. The only good-sized tremor happened here after 7 a.m. this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just after 7:05 this morning, all we have here is a 1.5 magnitude tremor. That's the biggest event all day long. Just after 7:05 a.m. this morning here in Watts. Gang-infested Watts. Nobody felt it. No possibility of feeling that at all. If that happened anywhere, you wouldn't see it. I even looked at a seismogram coming from downtown LA at the City State Building in LA, where the police department is, where the Emergency Management office is. Nothing but microquakes downtown Los Angeles today. Nothing but microquakes. Now, let's go take a look. I showed you Del Amo. Okay? Del Amo had quite a bit of tremor activity, didn't it? Like right here. Quite a bit of tremor activity, huh? That was some of the biggest activity we've seen today, except for one place. One place. Can anybody even venture a guess at where that place is? Long Beach area. This is light hype. Okay? Here you see a lot of tremors here. Remember weeks past? Day after day for weeks and weeks and months and months. Light hype was all over the place. Tremors in 2.0, 2.5, 2.8 earthquakes hitting all over light hype. Tons of them. Tons of them. Now the biggest thing we can get is a tremor here at light hype. Okay? It's amazing what a few weeks will do. Things have really calmed down. Drastically calmed down. And this blows my mind. there's something else that I want to show you. That is out here in Long Beach again, just east of Long Beach. This is State Street. State Street. Just about a mile separating Light Hype and State Street. Look at what we have here. Here, folks, we have tremors and we have earthquakes. Tremors and earthquakes, at times completely obliterating the white of the paper here. Completely obliterating the white seismogram paper. It's so full of color because of the seismic activity that's hit here. Down at the bottom you can get a realistic idea of what has exactly transpired literally all day long. Since about 8 a.m. this morning. Before that, it was just some tremors and occasionally a 2.0 earthquake near the top here, just after 6 a.m. Just about 5:29 a.m. we had a 2.0 earthquake. Just after 5:29 a.m. we had a 2.0 earthquake, minor earthquake. Down here at the bottom you see a lot of those, literally off the paper at times, especially this earthquake that is in the center bottom on the black line there. It reaches up there. The bottom of it is obliterated because of the color after that quake hit. Probably a 2.5 magnitude earthquake. Still a minor earthquake. Down at the very bottom on the right, in the green, here, folks, we see what we believe is a 2.4, 2.5 magnitude earthquake. This lasted about 7 to 10 seconds. 7 to 10 second earthquake. We talked about this before too. Over further to the right on the line above it, on the blue line above it, we see again probably a 2.5, probably not even that. Well, I'm not saying a 2.5, a larger than that earthquake. Probably a 2.8, 2.9 magnitude earthquake there. Okay? This is on State Street, just about a mile or so away from Light Hype, where that seismograph is. Okay? That's Los Angeles. Let's go east of Los Angeles. Okay? A lot changes over east of Los Angeles. Let's go over to Orange County. This is Cal Electric. The seismograph is at Cal Electric over in Orange County. Look what we have here. These folks are a bunch of tremors, constant tremor activity. That first black line, there are some microquakes there, interrupted by 1.1, 1.2, and maybe a 1.3 tremor. After that, on the red line at the top, at about 2 minutes, almost 2 minutes after 5:15, about 2:16, 2:17 a.m. this morning. That, folks, is like a 2.4, 2.5 magnitude earthquake. On that red line, it reaches up to the top of this seismogram. Okay? We don't see the bottom much because it's somewhat covered by episodes after that. Events and incidents after that. But you see what has been going on literally all day. Okay? Tremors. tremors and minor earthquakes all day long here. Okay? This is Orange County, California. And there's more. There's a lot more. Let's go north into Chino, California. Look here. Microquakes and minor tremors here in Chino. Prior to this, Chino was experiencing tremors all over the place. Larger tremors all over. These are just minor tremors here in Chino, California. I found this amazing. A complete differentiation from what it was just even a week or so ago. Okay? Let's go over to Mira Loma area, just south of Loma Linda, where the medical center is. Okay? Again, this is some place that we usually had a lot of tremor activity. Yes, we're still having a bunch of very minor tremors, but the tremors we had there were larger tremors. Now that has been reduced. These are all minor tremors for the most part, except for a couple of occasions where there might be 2.3, 2.4, and that's all. Just a couple of those. Okay? That's Mira Loma. Now you don't see this come out on the USGS map. Heaven forbid that they would report on it. Okay? So I showed you Mira Loma. Let's go south to Cabazon. Cabazon is over in the Anza Gap area. What they call the Anza Gap area. Look at all the tremors here. Tremors seem to be building in the Cabazon Anza Gap area. And the tremors are lasting a long time. You don't see this here on the USGS map. You don't even find a link to it. These tremors are lasting a long time. 2, 3, 4 minutes long at a time. And then it dips down close to nothing, and then it picks back up again. Look at that. One such tremor here. 8:15 this morning. And that tremor actually started long before that. Okay? That tremor actually started at about 8:10, 8:11 this morning. Very minor tremor building up to 1.2, 1.3 status, 1.4 status. Then after 8:15 on the red line, it built up even more, 1.4, 1.5 tremors. Folks, on that black line to the right, we had 3 minutes of tremor activity. Over here on this red line, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 minutes of tremor activity. How would you like to have a 3.5 rumbling beneath your feet for like 10 minutes going on and on and on? These are just minor tremors, guys. Can you imagine a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake hitting, rumbling beneath your feet, your dishes and plates, your glassware smacking together? Oh yeah, rattling all over the place. Possibly even falling off the shelf. Or even a 4.0 moderate quake, with things falling down on the floors. Yes, folks, that can happen here. Not here in Cabazon. It's happened here in the past. We've had some larger moderate quakes here in Cava Zone, especially before the Ridgecrest quake hit. This whole area between northeast San Diego County and Ridgecrest was full of earthquakes and tremors. Thousands and thousands of earthquakes and tremors all over this area between Ridgecrest and northeast San Diego County. At one point in time, there were over 5,000 earthquakes and tremors all over this area, including Ridgecrest. 5,000 earthquakes and tremors. And after Ridgecrest quit, it didn't really quit. We had aftershocks for months after that. And I believe some of the earthquakes and tremors that are still hitting Ridgecrest are aftershocks of that 7.1 and the two 6.9 earthquakes that happened before that. Big time activity, guys. Big time activity. Okay? Again, this is in the Anza Gap area. Let's go south. Let's go over to let's go down to San Jacinto campus in Hemet. San Jacinto College campus in Hemet. Okay? We also saw before a bunch of tremors and minor earthquakes. Tons of tremors and minor earthquakes all over this seismograph. At best today, medium-sized tremors, and that's all. That's all. This blows my mind, guys, because we've had earthquakes here. And literally nothing now. Okay? This blows my little mind. Okay? I want to go over to Victorville. Isaiah's granny lives here in Victorville. Look what happens here, guys. This is nothing but tremors here. This is nothing but tremors at all. Okay? This is also the San Andreas Fault here. Over in Los Angeles, they have tons of tiny faults, literally all over the LA basin, all the way out to Orange County, tiny faults. All that's here are tiny tremors, and that's it. That's it. I've never seen anything like this before. Things were increasing. All these tremors here are on the San Andreas Fault before it gets down to the Imperial Valley in Southern California. Okay? This is Victorville out in the desert. Okay? What happens when we get down further south in the Imperial Valley? Let me show you. Okay? Some part of this might blow your mind. Others probably won't do anything at all. Well, actually, before that, I should have showed you this before. This is Walnut La Puente in the LA area. Look what we have here. Now you have to remember that this is a volcano. We believe the Walnut La Puente area here is a volcano. A volcano where it's worn down. There's no sign, I believe, of any kind of crater or any kind of a volcanic cone here. It's been washed away by ice and water over the years. But this is a volcano down below the city of Walnut and La Puente, California. Look at this, guys. These are earthquakes. Earthquakes haven't stopped hitting here. This is the only place in Los Angeles area where you get full-blown earthquakes, and that feelable earthquakes. Okay? Look at these. Some of these, again, like I've explained in the past, here and elsewhere. Some of these seismic signals have been torn off the signal, torn off the seismogram, altered by the agencies. They are a lot larger earthquakes than they're shown to be here. Up at the top left on the black line, folks, this is 1 o'clock in the morning. Just prior to that, at 12:59 a.m. and a few seconds, there was a tiny tremor that started. Then all of a sudden, we see these earthquakes hitting. Not once, not twice, but multiple earthquakes hitting. Okay? The top has been trimmed off as well as the bottom. This was probably a 4.0 earthquake. Okay? Now, off to the right of it, this earthquake lasted just over a minute. Probably a minute and 20 seconds. After that, and it's covered up by the red line beneath it, we have a secondary wave, and that secondary wave lasted just over another minute. And then the body wave took off after that. And that body wave lasted probably a good 10 or 12 minutes. So this, what I described here as a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake, could have been a lot larger than that, considering the secondary wave and the body wave. Could have been upwards of a 4.0. Look at these other earthquakes here as well. Some of these haven't been topped off, but others have. Okay? You got to look at things. You got to see it. This is good-sized earthquakes in this area. Yes, it could possibly be a volcano. We believe it is. Okay? Let's look at a couple other things here. Okay? Let's go further south into Imperial County. Now you know that the San Andreas Fault that runs along the eastern side of the Salton Sea. When the San Andreas Fault enters Imperial County on the north side, as soon as it enters Imperial County, they call it the Imperial Fault. So when you hear the term Imperial Fault, know that it is just a continuation of the San Andreas Fault. And it becomes the San Andreas Fault when it goes into Mexico. The San Andreas Fault. Now I have a lot to talk about here. Okay? Like I said, the San Andreas Fault, Imperial Fault, runs down the eastern side of the Salton Sea. Before it reaches the Salton Sea, there is another small town. It's called North Shore Salton Sea. Look at this, guys. You see microquakes here, and you see mid-range tremors here. Mid-range tremors, some of these lasting 4 and 5 minutes. Just tremors, guys. Nobody's feeling these. Isn't that interesting? Even down here in the Imperial Valley, we get these minor tremors. Then, folks, we go south. We go south to the Salton Sea at Bombay Beach. Look at Bombay Beach. Okay? Starts off with just minor tremors. Minor tremors again. But just before 7 a.m. this morning, on the green line here, this would be about 7:45 on the green line on the left. We had some tremors that came up for about 30 seconds. Then the earthquake started. Probably started with a 2.5 earthquake. Then it got larger. Again, the top and the bottom of this green quake that we're showing you here has been chopped off. This, I believe, guys, this, I believe, is close to 3 minutes long. I also believe that this may have been a 4-minute earthquake. A 4.04 minutes long. Look how large it is. Okay? Also look at the secondary wave after that. Okay? The secondary wave lasts about a minute. The secondary wave goes out to the right and it lasts maybe a minute. Look at these other earthquakes as well. This one over on the right is disjointed. Okay? This is 9:15 a.m. Okay? It's all over the place. The same thing happened after one. See, I want to make sure I tell you this right. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 a.m., 10:15 a.m. Okay? Starts off with some tremors. Then it builds into a 2.0 earthquake, and then it goes crazy. Now I see this bottom one here, this one in red here, okay? The bottom of it's been chopped off. We don't really see the top of it because it merges in with the other earthquake at 9:15. But it continues. It may have been chopped off at the bottom. It may also have been chopped off at the top. This, folks, is at least a 3.9 or 3.5, 3.9 earthquake. These others the same way. They've been topped and bottomed off. Folks, this is Bombay Beach. We see this all the time here. Okay? This is also the San Andreas Imperial Fault here. The San Andreas Fault goes underneath the Salton Sea at Bombay Beach. Okay? That's what's causing these earthquakes there. Then I want to take you across to the southwest side of the Salton Sea. Okay? I want to show you Westmoreland. Okay, this is Westmoreland. Okay, this is just south of the Salton Sea on the west side. Okay, look at this. Yes, we have a bunch of microquakes, but we also have some good-sized tremors here as well. Off and on tremor activity literally all day long. It calmed down this afternoon. But prior to that, we had these good-sized tremors, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. I don't think anything got above that. Okay? But this got more serious here. Okay? Let's go west again. Let's go over to El Centro. Let's take a look at El Centro Naval Air Station. Okay? I want you to see that. Now, where did that go? Oh, here it is. Look at this, guys. Last week and the week before, we showed you bunches of 3.0, 3.5 quakes, literally all over this seismogram at El Centro Naval Air Station. Look at this. At best today, we may have had a 2.8 minor earthquake over here on the right-hand side in the green. Actually, it was in the black. Okay, it was in the black. This was at 10:14 a.m. this morning. Okay? At the most, we had 2.0 activity after that, but that's all. All the rest of these are all tremors here at Naval Air Station El Centro. What is the problem here? In past weeks, we saw at the very least 2.5 earthquakes and as much as 3.5 earthquakes here. We had them all over this area, all over Imperial County. We had these. Okay? Let's take you down over to Imperial, which is a town in the Imperial Valley. It's down south of Westmoreland. South of Westmoreland. Look what we see here. Okay? As I said, the only good-sized earthquakes were at the Salton Sea, at Bombay Beach. We had a few tremors at best in El Centro and Westmoreland. South of Westmoreland, look at all these tremors. USGS does not report any of this. Nothing. There are absolutely no earthquakes or tremors at all until you get down near the border. Down near the border. That's it. You can see them here in Imperial County. They're literally all, or Imperial, this is a county of Imperial, but it's also Imperial City, the town of Imperial, California. Look at the tremor activity. This is all over the place. All over the place. Maybe one 2.0 earthquake, but the rest are all tremors. Okay? These were earthquakes just a week or two ago. Like I said, things have simmered down. But USGS is not showing any of this. USGS didn't show anything at Bombay Beach. What's going on? That's not the only thing I'm going to show you. Down in Holtville, south and east of Imperial, Holtville, California. Look at this. Yes, we have a lot of microquake activity here, but we also have some minor tremors as well. In the past, we've seen some minor earthquakes here. 2.0, 2.5. This is just minor tremors at best. Tons of microquakes and minor tremors. That's it. Holtville, California. the Salton Sea Desert Research Station in Holtville. Incredible. Incredible. Nothing else there at all. Nothing else there at all. Okay? I've taken you throughout Southern California now. I've shown you everything that has happened in Southern California. Does anybody have any questions? Just weeks ago, because of all the seismic activity, I called for an earthquake watch in Southern California. That is canceled. That is canceled. Yes, we have some earthquakes in Imperial County, California. We also saw seismic activity up at State Street in Long Beach. But that's all. That's it. May, I hope you have a good night. Kimberly Hopkins is saying good night to May. Thank you, May. We appreciate you being here too. Well, what do you think of that? A decrease in seismic activity down there in Southern California. Now this may pick up. This may pick up. It has done that before. We're going to keep a close watch on Southern California. I showed you the volcanoes up in East Central California at Mammoth, in that area there. Okay? I showed you that last night. Things are happening there, but there's also a super volcano just east of Mammoth that we showed you last night. Things are happening. Things are going to continue to happen. Folks, we have to keep an eye on what is going on. It's not going to stop. We're going to be talking about Cascadia and also the New Madrid Fault tomorrow. There is still significant earthquake activity at the New Madrid Fault. And there's also significant minor tremors and minor earthquake activity on the East Coast, even where I live and down into South Carolina. Now, one of the things you're going to see tomorrow, and I'm going to show you what happened tonight down in the south part of the United States. Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, going over to Mississippi and Alabama. Some of that electrical activity with those storms could cause bumps and tremors in those states. And we're going to check that in the morning, and I'll tell you about it tomorrow evening. Does anybody have any questions before we call the party? Okay? Don Patoka is asking, Ron, could it be the lull before the party? Yes, it absolutely could. We're going to keep a close eye on it. We've seen this happen before. But it's totally astounding for all of a sudden it to be just cut off. That just never happens. It just never happens like this. So it could be the lull before the storm. Okay? Linda Covington says, Bertie Mike says Southern California, San Diego's going to experience a 45-degree tilt. No, I don't think so. The tilt is good. If it happens, it's going to be in not just San Diego. It's going to happen to the entire Earth. Yes, we have a tilt going on because we have a pole shift. It's not just San Diego that will be tilting. It will be the entire Earth. Okay? And yes, that does cause earthquakes. That will cause big earthquakes and tsunamis as well. Now my good friend Ava Marie Griffin, nutrition nurse Griffin, says a tilt into the ocean. Guys, I hate to disappoint you. Even as much as some people there that I would like to get tilted into the ocean, it's likely not to happen. Okay? It's not likely to happen. If any of you saw the Great Los Angeles earthquake back in 1985, it's also here on YouTube. You can watch it. In that earthquake, they showed all of Southern California shaking. Literally. In another earthquake movie, I think it was called Earthquake 1995 or something, they showed the huge long San Andreas Fault, and it's buckling all over. Large earthquakes devastating communities up and down the fault. That movie showed a great big huge earthquake, and it separated parts of Southern California. It separated parts of Southern California, west to east, out along the San Andreas Fault. The way they allegedly stopped the earthquakes from happening is they put nukes in the ground. I think it was 5 to 7 miles deep into the ground, and they drilled these holes that deep along the faults, along the San Andreas Fault. And I think they took 4 or 5 nukes in various places from the San Francisco Bay Area all the way down into San Diego County. It was a great movie if you haven't seen that one. But they stopped the earthquake, but it still buckled Southern California and caused a huge fissure that opened up that filled with water. So we had an inland waterway in Southern California, and I have a feeling that is actually going to happen. But when it happens, it's going to proceed all the way up into Northern California to Pyramid Lake, all along the Walker Lane Fault. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, and I could be wrong. Okay? Linda Covington says, placing bets. Go for it. Make my day. Place a bet on that happening. Aubrey's talking what activity is happening offshore in California. Very little. Very little. Up in Northern California. In fact, let's go over to the USGS map really quick. And I won't stay with that very long. But I want to show you what is actually happening. Just a second here. There it is. There is the United States of America, okay, in all its glory. The satellite picture, okay. Earlier today, down here in the southern Cascadia subduction zone, over here on the Gorda Escarpment, just north of the San Andreas Fault here in Northern California, just offshore, we had a 2.5 earthquake. Minor earthquake here. USGS has taken it down. Okay? You don't see anything else talked about along the coastline of California. I told you about the Channel Islands. Okay? I told you about the Channel Islands. Just a second. Okay, I told you about the Channel Islands down here. Okay? I showed you a seismogram earlier that the Channel Islands were experiencing minor tremors all over. It's shaking down there. But notice how many faults are out here, including the Newport Inglewood Fault here. But there are a bunch of faults out here. Literally all over. You can see them here. Okay? You can see them here. They're happening. But they're just minor tremors out here. We don't have any earthquake activity now today. I've checked. Okay? Usually we can, not usually, but all the time over here near Malibu, we can see a small minor tremor here. Sometimes a 2.5, 2.8 earthquake just off the coast of Malibu, California. Okay? Occasionally off the coast of San Pedro, California, which is right here. This is a town of San Pedro, California. Sometimes down in this area, okay, we can see earthquakes in this area and tremors as well. Also over here, look at all these spots out here in the ocean. This is not just spots, guys. These are oil and gas rigs pumping oil and gas just offshore of Los Angeles. Every one of these. And they stretch down here. Okay? That whole area is being mined for oil and gas. Okay? So that's what's happening. And out here, this is Sierra Madre. This is a 2.2 magnitude earthquake up here in the Sierra Madre area. But notice where it's at. Notice where it's at. We've seen a lot of earthquakes in this area. This is just a 2.2 minor quake here. No, we have not seen a 2.2 earthquake here in a while. But we have seen larger quakes here in the Sierra Madre area. Okay? That has happened. But we really don't see anything even down south here on the southern side and west side of the Baja California either. Things have really calmed down here. Things have really, really calmed down here. You see one earthquake here, a 2.1 here. This is in Alberto Aveyah, Mota, Baja California. Okay? What do you think is here? Okay? What do you think is here? Can anybody recognize any frontier areas here? This is a volcanic area, guys. This is a volcanic area. All over this area. Okay? Most of the craters have been worn down. But out here along the Baja, we have round areas such as this that are raised up. This is where magma raised up the earth but didn't pop. It did not breach the surface. Okay? But most of those are smaller all around this area. This one here, that you see here by this earthquake, that earthquake may be magma caused. But it's also in the hilly area of Baja California. But there is volcanic activity all up and down Baja California. A ton of it. A ton of it. Any other questions? Oh, by the way, USGS did catch a Canadian quake today. Okay? USGS did catch an earthquake in southern Canada. This is a 2.5 minor earthquake. They say it's 21 miles east of Nelson, Canada. Nelson, Canada. a 2.5 magnitude earthquake here in Alberta, Canada. Interesting. It's in the Rocky Mountains, guys. It's in the Rocky Mountains. This is the edge of the plate. Okay? The edge of the North American craton. So that's what's going on. We have some minor earthquakes still in Hawaii. We had this earthquake over here in the Aleutian Island area. This is a 4.1 in the Rat Islands today. A 4.1 and another minor tremor there as well. Just south of Kamchatka Peninsula, right here in the south end, there's a 4.2 moderate earthquake here. It's 117 kilometers deep. Not bad. It's not kilometers, 117 miles deep. I've been used to kilometers for a long time. Okay? Down here in Indonesia, a 4.8. A 4.5. Over here, a 4.4 in Pototano, Indonesia. Right between those other two earthquakes is an earthquake that just hit. It's a 4.7 here. Nisano Dua, Indonesia. Okay? Like I said, over here north of New Zealand. And folks, USGS is showing no earthquakes at all here in New Zealand. There's about a dozen earthquakes north and south islands of New Zealand. Over here in the Kermadec Islands, there's a 5.0 here, and this one a 5.5 in the Kermadec Islands. Okay? All we have are birds in those islands. Nobody lives there. Nobody lives there. Over here near Taiwan, on the east side of Taiwan, just barely off the coast. Okay? This is a 4.4 magnitude earthquake here, moderate 4.4, 17.4 miles east of Taiwan. It's a moderate quake. People may not have even felt it because it's out in the ocean, 17 miles offshore. Okay? That would be about 20 kilometers offshore. Okay? Nobody's going to feel it. USGS says we've had 214 earthquakes worldwide. Really? That's interesting. Because over here in Europe, they don't show a darn thing. Not a dang thing here in Europe. Nothing. Not a thing. How about over here in Turkey and Syria? 100 earthquakes there today. 100 quakes there. They did not show any other earthquakes in Turkey. They don't show anything over here in Greece. There's about a dozen earthquakes here in Greece. Over here in Italy, there's about 25 earthquakes all over Italy. There's some down here in Sicily as well. And we still have 2 volcanoes that are throwing up lava into the air there. Okay? Also some minor tremors over here in the Alps, the Italian, Swiss, and German Alps here. And even, I think, a couple tremors over here in France today. And more tremors over here in Spain and over around the Strait of Gibraltar. And more tremors over here in the Canary Islands and the Azores here. Why are they not showing them? Earthquakes and tremors over here in Iceland too. Up here. Some tremors over in Scandinavia. They're not showing those either. Why not? Why not? They rarely show any earthquakes in Africa, and we've had those this past weekend. Yes, they showed us one in southern Africa this weekend. But why are they not showing us the other quakes? That is a question that we would all like answers to. Why are they not showing the earthquakes in southern Mexico? Not a thing. And they're only showing us one earthquake just off the shore of Nicaragua here in Central America. Why are they not showing the the dozen and a half earthquakes here in Central America? Nothing. They're not showing any of the earthquakes here in South America. Okay, there's almost 2 dozen earthquakes in South America. Why not? Because they don't want anybody to know exactly what is happening. Plain and simple. We talked about that before. Any questions, guys? Don Patoka says, oh yeah, it's classified. Yeah, LOL. Twirly Cassius says, have to go, take care. Till next time, thanks Ron, mods, family. Yes, Twirly, thank you for being here. God bless you for that. God bless all of you for being here tonight. We started a little bit late because I had some personal problems, if you will, that I had to take care of. Now, folks, I have a scripture that I want to read, and it's rather long, that I want to share with you. And now, my sons, remember that it is upon the rock of our Redeemer, who is Jesus Christ, the Son of God, that we must build our foundation. Your foundation, that when the devil shall send forth his mighty winds, yea, when all his hail and his mighty storm shall beat upon you, it shall have no power over you, to drag you into endless woe, because of the rock upon which you're built, which is a sure foundation, a foundation wherein if men build, they cannot fall. They cannot fall. What are we talking about there? We're talking about the foundation of Jesus Christ, our faith in Christ. Our faith in Christ. We need to have our faith built upon a true foundation, a hard foundation, where we can't be torn off of it. That's what we're talking about tonight. Having a strong faith. Folks, I know that that's true. I've asked many of you in our programs and on our Sunday school programs, get faith, study the scriptures, find out for yourself if this Jesus Christ is true. If he is, if everything that we've told you about is true, then guess what? Each of us must act upon it. Each of us must act upon it. Pray and find out an answer for yourselves. I know it's true. The gospel of Jesus Christ is on the earth today for a reason. For a reason. To unite ourselves together. To bring back the 12 tribes from all corners of the earth where they left. To bring them back unto the fold of Jesus Christ, the children of Israel. It's been a long day. I'll let you go. I know it's late. It's 10 p.m. and I started this very late, and I'm sorry. I hope you've had a good night. Please share this program far and wide with your friends, your family, your extended family, your neighbors, the people you work with, and also your social media contacts. Everything we have said is true. I didn't change any names to protect anybody. This is not Dragnet. This is true. Everybody needs to see this information, guys. We need to act on it. We need to help our countries. We need to help our cities and our communities around the globe. All of us have got to come together. We are one great big huge family. Not just of Emergency Management Associates, but we are one great big huge family, and we need to come together. Guys, I have a testimony of that. I want you to know I know that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. I know that. May each of us gain that faith and knowledge ourselves. Guys, I love you. I care about you. I want the best for each and every one of us. May God be with us now and forever. That's my prayer for each and every one of us. I love you guys. I really do. I hope you have a good night and a better tomorrow. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be back on the air as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, folks, take care. God bless. God be with you. I mean it. May God be with you until we meet again. Good night, everybody. See you around the corner. Good night. Much love.